What's happening, everybody?
Hey, Darren, great to see you. Thank you for hosting this again.
Yeah, man. Always.
Hey, Darren.
Welcome in. Good to see you guys.
Eric,
Eric, Victor.
Yeah, Eric,
Josh.
Josh, Victor, all good to see you all. And yeah, if you want to like start us off, Josh, like what we were discussing before we got on here, I would love to discuss that because it was kind of interesting because I was thinking about it prior to this, you know. But yeah, it's a very good, interesting topic.
Yeah, but it kind of leads in though with your when you were talking about your frustration there. So if you wanted to lead in with where you were
Okay.
going there, because otherwise
Okay.
there's no real context in any of that.
Okay, yeah, I was basically hello everybody, welcome to another live, to another roundtable with Josh, Victor, Eric, and myself, and we were just discussing because it's been like 8 years, and my dog passed away yesterday. We had to put her to sleep, and she was having seizures practically majority of her life, and um, I just, to see I would say the last few months, but March was like 13 seizures in March. And it was just really challenging and difficult to watch her deteriorate. Um, and so, yeah, I understand that a lot of these situations cause us to get us to go within and to go deep inside ourselves, and like Josh was saying, find the love for ourselves, um, and uh, and at the same time, being awake for so long and majority of my life, the things like the spraying and the different things, yeah, I and the suffering people are going through and everything else that you talk to, yeah, I guess sometimes I forget about it and I get lost and question everything, and then Josh was bringing up a lot of good points, and if you want to elaborate on it.
Sure. I mean, it's kind of hard to recreate a conversation that just happened, but we can do what we can kind of flow it out from here. But yeah, yeah, you were talking about how it's hard for you to have your dog pass there, but realize though, I mean, for your dog to in favor there, that's not. But you when you have a pet, of course, and you're talking about how the medical was not working, and all the medical stuff with your dog and the suffering. But I mean, I don't know. It's hard to kind of recreate the conversation we just had, but stepping into that into the suffering, when you buy a pet, the sad thing is that we don't realize this, and so this day comes, and then it bowls us over. But when you get a pet, you do realize that it comes with that termination date, right? So I mean, when you get a spouse, it's going to come. So we buy into these tragedies, and then those tragedies, we already knew. You knew the moment you first laid eyes on that cat, if that and you brought that cat or the dog into your house. I apologize. It was Victor with the cat and the dog into your house. When the moment you brought that pet into your house, you knew the moment that happened that you were stepping into a little bit of a tragedy. Were you not?
Yeah, I mean, I did, and then like I said to you, I mentioned earlier, oh yeah, the talk of like the med beds and we can heal ourselves and how we've been suppressed from realizing we can actually heal ourselves.
Hmm.
All of those things. That's the part that supposedly they're being kept from us, or suppressed or hidden, or only certain people have access to it. That's the part that I get lost with. Um, uh, Certain people have access to it, and then majority doesn't, and then we're hooked into these, pharmaceutical things, and all, which creates more perpetual suffering, and I guess that's where my frustration lies.
Oh, sure, but again, you're frustrated with the group as a collective, though. How is day? And as you can be, but when it really boils down to it, this is all and this is where we got in the conversation here. This is the Darren show. So, and it's all the Victor show and the Eric show, all right? And so in that aspect, you can sit here and be frustrated about what they are doing, or it's just kind of what is. I mean, until the collective realizes that there's even a they, right? First off, we have to step past the fact that there's a they. Victor knows there's a they, and Eric definitely knows there's a they. But do they know there's a they?
Yeah.
First off, and then 40% to 60% of they you are even talking about aren't even real people. They're the NPC background players that are there, if you want to prescribe by that theory, right? If that are there to help us as the actual physical creators create our universe. They're there to be the grand antagonist. Or did we lose Eric there? What happened?
Yeah, I think we lost her. Yeah, he's back. I think he's back.
Oh, he's back. Oh, wait, there we go. All right. Much fun. And please jump in there, Eric and Victor, too. I mean, they're the grand antagonists in our universe, right? If you didn't have an antagonist of some sort, or if you didn't have the death of your pet as well, how would you grow? How would you, if you didn't have a greater source field of people where 60% are programmed background players there to either interrupt or cut you off in the car or whatever it is, right? And for myself, every time I back up in a parking lot, there seems to be a car that drives by. Why? Again, program background players to show me a lesson of some sort. So in our case, they're getting frustrated about that. We can, but until those who are outside of the background players, those who are the ones who are awake, right? That's why you don't really need the entire population to move the population. You only need like 2 to 3% getting together. During the revolution, only 5 to 10% of America was even half behind it, right? And so, but that's all that you need energetically, because how much are even real, right? The background players aren't pushing out any energy. So it's us who need to get together as the actual physical creators and create that change if we want it. We can get frustrated about it, but getting frustrated only stops Darren from creating his universe. And if the dish is already trying to run away with the spoon energetically, right? Those who are creating the greater source field are already trying to run away with our energetics in the first place through television and other things, right? Television.
And oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Josh.
No, please go ahead, Victor.
Something else to add on to, Darren, is please consider, and I'm not trying, you need to do your morning process, of course, but is the frustration aspect of it is know this should give you some solace, and you already know it anyway, is more, the veil is lifting more and more each day. Think about it. Just a year ago, how often would you see med beds even spoken about outside of conspiracy circles? You see?
Yeah.
And it's become part of our vernacular now to talk about these things. And as we talk about them, guess what we're doing is we're bringing them into the light, bringing the truth out in things. And I get your frustration. I just lost my mom in November, and my girlfriend and I were speculating, hey, I wonder if the med beds are going to be, I wonder if this technology is going to be released before my mom passes away. And then she goes and sits to the med bed and she wakes up and she's like, oh, hey, son. And then I'm like, Mom, you just missed the last 4 years because you've had Alzheimer's. You don't remember anything, but here's what's happened in the last 4 years. I was wondering if I was going to have an experience like that, but keep them, so I like to say on my show, we're in charge of our reaction to any given situation. And I'll just leave it. I'll open the floor to Eric right there. Or you, Darren, however.
Go forward, Darren, if you want.
One thing to it, and then Eric, if you want to go ahead. Like, I that's how I felt about my dad. The same exact thing. There was talks about it because they came out with the EE systems, and they I don't know if you guys heard of those, the energy enhancement systems. And there's a guy named Jason Shurka who has been promoting it heavily, and now, from what I hear, they've added on to these systems, and they use scalar wave technologies. And you go and there are a lot of them around the world, and you go and you sit in this room, and the machine's there, and it brings your body back to balance, so to speak. But you still have to like do things, like eat properly or eat healthy and different things. You can't just go in there and expect it does do it, but you can revert back basically if you don't. But apparently, I've been hearing just recently that Rife technology is incorporated into it now. And then there's some other technology that they upgraded the scalar wave. And so it's like that was around at the time, but I wasn't informed that you had to be in them a certain amount of time if you had cancer, And he was going and seeking those things at the time as well. But even then, I started hearing about, med beds and and I wasn't laughing when you said that. I was just laughing at someone's comment about the medical is whatever crap or something. Somebody said in the comments, he said that. I was kind of I was like, okay, yeah, I've been definitely a part of that since the 80s. The health industry with my dad, again with cancer in '97 and stuff. So I guess you could say what Josh was saying about what everyone keeps talking about this golden age and the age of Aquarius and the age of love, and where everyone's going to be in harmony and balance, and we're going to be in harmony with the animal kingdom and all these kind of things. Like, why couldn't we come here and still have all of that and still grow and evolve, but come here and have fun, not oh, you got to work 80 hours a week and pack all this money away to then get old and decrepit and die. That's the part that but then there's this golden age that everybody talks about, and that I feel in my soul that this planet's going to get there, that the whole planet's going to wake up, and and we're going to be in harmony with everything, and still be able to expand and grow, so that's kind of where if you want to add to it, Eric, I know you were going to say something. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. No, I guess along those lines. Oh, cool. I need to get that. One of the things I've kind of tried to sit into more recently, especially today, is just like the feeling and knowing of just being the luckiest person ever. And like I've done that previously. I went to a gaming convention, and I went in with the mantra that I was going to be incredibly lucky the entire time. And so I ended up winning the national championship for the board game that I went in that year. And that was a great story and like a good.
You gotta tell us.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the board game Diplomacy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm me, my dad, my brother, we're all like internationally the top 100 players. My dad's won the U.S. championship 4 times now. I've won it once. So we play every year in Indianapolis.
Huh.
So
Wow.
yeah. But along those lines, it's been a long, not entirely fun week for me, but like getting back into kind of my own balance is realizing that like as hard and as tough as for me the past 8 months or 9 months since I've lived out here in Chicago now have been, I've been insanely lucky to where like I've not had to work a 9-to-5 job. I was so abundant in my previous job that I could basically just go through dozens of spiritual experiences in my own free time now over the past 9 months or whatever. And this kind of all goes into an idea I had like earlier this morning or yesterday, but of like how, oh god, I just lost it. But how like all these like maybe the entire reason we're here and we as a collective have gone through all of this together is to find ways to find the light in even the darkest of situations. Because I mean, you have an entire history of people in Russia or in medieval Europe or all these peasants all over the world who like they have such squalid, horrible lives by many standards, but like they still find time to celebrate. They still find time and find ways to find beautiful moments with their kids or beautiful moments with their loved ones. And it like even like child laborers and like factory workers in China who literally do 12 plus hour shifts every single day year round and never have a day of vacation or sick leave. Like they find moments on the factory floor to be human and find ways of showing care and love to one another. And I mean, all of those are far worse positions than I've ever had to be in, let alone all the shit that I've had to go through in my life, let alone what you all and all of our streamers and watchers right now have had to go through. Like we've all had so much suffering and so much pain, but in amongst all that, we've found ways to find like peace within some of those moments. And I think, if anything, I think that may be the whole goal of this giant experiment, is finding those moments of light when literally everything around us is made and created to make us suffer.
Yeah, like shining your light bright within the dark, like still, can your light get brighter, can you find in the chaos?
Yeah.
Something that just occurred to me too. You spoke about the golden age, and I believe that we sign up, we sign up for these experiences that we have, and it's not, some of you may believe it or you may not, but it is what it is. And think about it, maybe the golden age, because we're the sum. Everything deemed positive and deemed negative. All right, experiences as a whole. Think about it, are still experiences. So if we're these higher beings that come down to have these experiences deemed positive and deemed negative, they are still experiences, especially for these all-knowing Q-type beings. And we make up these wonderful experiences. So, these wonderful iterations, so we can have these meaningful experiences deemed positive or deemed negative. And maybe the golden age is actually the golden age of the experiences. You see, instead of this golden age coming into all light, maybe, I'm just going to throw it out there. It's not exactly what I like the whole light thing far better. I would rather go into a higher density and live the last of my remaining years in a wonderful society and a planet that is for everyone, where everyone is doing what they want to do and being creative and loving on one another. And that's what I want. That's what I want personally. But maybe the experience of getting there is what the golden age is, because it's the golden age of experience, perhaps.
Yeah, because you have both sides of the fence, right? You have the contrast of both the right. And now you like what's the word? You have even more deep gratitude for it, like you verse, now that you like can have the you've had both experiences, I guess you could say. So now you can like enjoy it even more, I think.
And I ask all of you, what do you have gratitude now that you didn't 20 years ago? Because I know you all have at least 20 years of experience. So now what do you have? What do you have gratitude for? You notice how your gratitude is a lot more thorough. You're grateful for having a roof over your head. You're grateful for your automobile. You're grateful for so many things that 20 years ago you'd have been just like, oh, hey, yeah, oh God, I've got to go put gas in my car. And do you see my angle there? You're probably far more grateful. You're showing gratitude on so many different levels now, instead of just being grateful. Oh, hey, my car got me to work today. Oh, that's cool. Or my car helps me, do this or do that. But now it seems like the gratitude is getting deeper, and we spoke about that, I think, last night or the night before, about being so full of gratitude. And it comes back to it. I'm grateful for the experiences I'm having. I don't always enjoy them. They're not always deemed positive, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that medicine.
Not only that, but you're humbled even more, like I'm like humbled as you can get each and every time you drop into even more humbleness.
Oh, here's some more, Darren. Here's some more.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's that's another, but you know what, to your point, all of your points, I think also to what Eric was saying too, it's every single time, can you come back to love? No matter what happens, like Yeshua did, and how he could see the, people from the pain they were in, not the act they're doing, and always see everything from a lens of love, regardless of what transpires, what happens, who's doing it, who's not doing it. Can you come back to love? I think that's the biggest part of the experiment. No matter what kind of tragedy is happening. Because you know what? At the end of the day, I feel like, and I feel like every situation that has happened that's been super huge for the collective has brought everybody together. 9/11, all these different things, people come together in these storms that happen and destroy things, and it brings people together. It builds community. People become closer. Even in the death of someone, or so I think.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
To Eric's point of love, guess what? In 6 months, you're going to think about your dog. You're going to think about it every day until you get to a certain point. And I was thinking about my cat earlier when I was making breakfast, and I thought, oh God, the love just swelled up in my heart. And guess what? As I like to say, love never dies. And you're going to realize in a year, it's going to take you some time. You're going to get over your sadness, but you're going to still love that dog just as much as you did yesterday and the day before and the day before that. That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the first one, so and we realize we can get through anything because through these situations, and then we have another one, and then we're like, oh yeah, I went through that before, and I got through it, and at some point, and I still had love for them, and so yeah, I think it's also us realizing our power and who we are, and we become more powerful every time we go through these. Do I believe that we need to? No, I don't. I disagree with that, and I feel like I'm making that change. In the collective consciousness, that we don't have to go through those types of challenging things. It can be much more easy to expand and grow.
It makes that thought. I used to joke with one of my buddies that next iteration I think I'm going to go on some purple planet and sit by and be a purple plant next to a purple lake and just hang out for a couple hundred years.
Earlier, I said the same thing. Yeah. Go back to my home planet, and
because we might say we know, but we could have all four of us been different races in the previous iteration. There's nothing saying that our timelines, that all of our human iterations have happened at once, is there? I don't know. Because we like to look at it that way, but perhaps we jump out for a couple iterations and then come back, jump out, learn something, jump out, take a break, and then come back. We could be, and there's others that say, "Oh, we're just a fraction of our soul, and we're doing this on multiple different dimensions and multiple different iterations." You guys ever hear any of that before?
Oh, like the multiverse theory, sure.
Yeah.
You exist in all space and all time, doing all things all at once, like the Bagel movie, right? So theoretically, there's a version of us infinitely doing an infinite number of different things in an infinite number of infinite universes infinitely. If you want to do the mirrored infinite universe, then we could be going on forever. An infinite number of universes mirrored forever, always existing in some form or fashion. But they're all different parallel universes, right? So I mean, we get Mandela effects here, but you could be in a universe that has a reverse Mandela effect, right? It goes from the Kit Kat with no dash to a Kit Kat with a dash, and so we go from the Kit Kat with a dash to no dash, right? So
hey, which one are we in?
We're in the no dash universe, or Rod Serling or Sterling, right? So it could have been Rod Serling, and then it turns to Rod Sterling, but in our universe, it's Rod Sterling that turns to Rod Serling, right?
Which one is it now? Sterling, right? That's right. Rod Serling.
It's Serling now, but it was Rod Sterling as far as I knew since I was born. So the question is, there could be an infinite number of inverse universes just inversing that way alone that we are standing in. And if we're infinite consciousness, you could blow your mind. Then we could be on an infinite number of planets, infinitely doing infinite number of things, infinitely forever, infinitesimally. And this is we're only in the vibration that we can feel, but there's an infinite number of vibrations of us going out forever, right? Think about that a second. The infinite mirrored universe.
Wow.
I did have
That's kind of mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I did have one experience where I guess technically being out of body experience, but I had I got to go into a different timeline altogether. And so I guess to give you that story, so I I was sleeping and I had this memory of like kind of I was lucid dreaming at the time, and so I decided like, oh, like, and this was fairly early on in my spiritual journey, so I remembered, oh, like going into the void, like the void of creation, like doing that. And so I kind of entered like this portal in my lucid dream, and I woke up in a room. I was like, what is this room? And so I kind of went out and I saw what was a memory of basically my wife in that timeline, and she was but I like knew her as a friend from this timeline. And I went into this room and it was her and four other younger people, and I was like, hey, can we go into this other room? And so I was like, hey, what the heck is going on? Like, who are they? And then she basically said, like, there are children. And so I got very excited and really happy. And I was like, basically super confused. Like, I don't ever remember marrying you. Like, what the hell happened? Like, what's going on? Where am I? All this stuff. And so then she took me aside and began to start to explain stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like I basically walked into a whole other timeline. And that's where mid sentence talking to her, I woke up in my bed and like was like about to speak the rest of that sentence and was in a completely other timeline. And it was just
Wow.
absolutely crazy. And like it was, I mean, it was as real as it being in this room right now.
Wow.
And yeah, and the other crazy thing was like talking to her, she said like we met or like it like we started dating or whatever like 100 years ago. And I was like, 100 years ago, what the hell are you talking about? Because like we looked not far off from how we do now. And so there were all sorts of crazy things, but it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life.
Wow. And so you hadn't met your wife yet, right?
This is a different person. In this timeline, it's a close friend of mine from college.
Okay.
But in that timeline, there was a whole other set of events that caused us to get closer and eventually get married and have kids.
Wow, I've never had anything cool like that. I've had other cool stuff happen, but nothing like that. No, that I think. Do you guys remember? I was probably, what was her name? She was an actress, and she was really into doing astral traveling, and it was about 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
You know who I'm talking about. But she talked about
Shirley MacLaine.
Shirley MacLaine. Okay, I want to tell you a quick story. Then I was on a helicopter carrier back in the late 80s. Yeah, it was the late 80s, and we were on our way to Acapulco, of all places. Terrible duty, terrible. And I was reading this book about I was reading her book or something along those lines, and it was telling you how to do the relaxation technique. And so I was doing it, and then I felt myself drop out of my body, drop out. All right. I dropped out and went all through all the decks, and I realized and we're pretty low. They always put the jar heads down at the bottom with all the bilge. And we were dropping, I was dropping through all the decks, and then I hit the water, and it freaked me out so bad. I was like, what the heck? And then boom, I came back in my body, set up, hit my head on the pipe that was over my rack. And then I was like, what in the world? And I had no one there I could talk to about it. Everyone was asleep anyway, but I had zero person that I could talk to without, someone taking me to go talk to a Navy doctor about, Navy shrink or something. But the thing is I put it away. It was like my warning, because it freaked me out so bad that I actually accomplished it. But the thing is, I woke up, we were in a storm. So the boat, even though it's a big helicopter carrier, was just rocking like this. And I think I dropped out on one of the plunges or something, but it was such an amazing experience. But it scared me enough at the time to not try. I'm like, okay, I'm messing with stuff that I don't have the ability right now to deal with, even though now I would gladly accept that experience. And maybe I'll try it again tonight. I haven't looked up that technique in forever. Hey, maybe we should do it as a collective. Maybe all four of us should try it. and let each other know tomorrow.
There we go.
Sure. Yeah.
Have any of you messed around with lucid dreaming? No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't remembered a dream since I was 15, and literally like last week I had my first dream in like forever. I saw a mouse in a box, and it was half the box was dry, half the box was wet, and the mouse was drowning in a box. And that's real simple because I can relate it to my universe. But it was the first dream I'd physically seen in probably 40 years.
And that was
45
just
years.
last week.
Yep.
Wow.
That's
And
crazy.
But I mean, it's
Wow.
easy to relate it to my universe. But so I took the mouse. I can remember in the dream, the mouse. I took it out of the box and put it on my hand, and it was like, "Thank you." Like it was like you could tell. It was like, "Thank you." I was dying here, and then I woke up. So
Wow.
Wow.
Suzette says her dreams have been lucid her entire life.
My
Wow.
mom had that. I'm jealous because I've had to work to get mine more lucid. But yeah, my mom also her entire life she's been lucid in all her dreams.
Did she ever come to you or anything like that? And you guys go fly around or anything fun like that, or do some equations that you couldn't do in your human body? You know what I mean?
I don't know that she's ever done that, but
That's what I tried to do when I was in college, is try to learn how to study and dream about studying. That's what I wanted to do. Just because there never seemed, you know what I'm talking about. There's never seems to be enough time to study everything that you want to. And I thought, well, if I could just study when I'm asleep, that'd
you'd
work
be like
perfect.
Edgar Casey and put the book under your pillow and wake up and
yeah.
Oh, does he do that?
Edgar Casey could take an entire book and he would put it under his pillow, and then he'd wake up and be able to tell you a page and what it said.
that's crazy.
Wow. They are our resident time lords here too. So everyone say hi to Heaney.
Any standard time?
Yeah.
What experiences have you had doing playing around with it, Eric?
So kind of at first I used it. I had really bad night terrors for a while. So I used it as a means of basically waking myself up from those night terrors. And figuring out different ways from there. But I mean, I've done like flying's fun and fairly easy now in dreams. As I've gotten more into spirituality, I've been able to like contact in different ways other like trusted entities and beings, and like having experiences with like benevolent alien beings. I had that one experience with my wife from another timeline. And then I tried for a little bit to do exactly what you said, Victor, where I was going to try and learn how to practice the piano or practice like other musical instruments in dreams and get better that way, just as an experiment. But I never could get like lucid like frequently and like well enough to where I could do that. Yeah, so I guess now it's more of like whenever I am lucid, I do try to do like drop into astral projection or other stuff, but I haven't had much success. If anything, it's made my normal dreams like every single night just much more like vivid when I wake up. So like dream recall is fairly easy in the morning for me now.
Wow. Hey, you guys want to do something? I'm going to change it real quick. I just sent a number out to everyone. What comes to your mind? Did you guys have a number come to your mind? Anyway,
Yeah,
even in chat.
I did.
Okay, what is
Sure, why not?
it? Just tell me.
Should we all type it in the
Yeah, just type it in the chat. I just sent a number out to everyone.
I'm 42. There we go.
Okay. Eric, did you get a number?
I had like 3 or 5.
Okay. Darren?
I do come up 40, like same like Josh, 42 or 43.
Okay.
It came up really quick, and I couldn't catch if it was 42 or 43 was first.
Somebody in chat's already gotten it right too.
9 3 1
Hey
1.
Dale, 311.
311's a band though. It's a band. Wasn't that like a
Yeah,
band like
yeah.
the 90s? They sung like marijuana music.
But
Yes.
see, the number 311 is also the number 5.
This is true.
Yeah.
All the numbers, unless it's a
All of
11
us
or
on the panel then got it wrong because I don't see anything close to what.
Well, actually, the thing is you guys
or
are getting
Eric
a
said
partial.
5, I think, didn't he?
Eric said 3 or 5.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that is the number is 4. And I sent that out while he was still speaking. So Josh got part of it and you got part of it, Darren. Suzette got part of it. And she said it right after I said it. She goes, I had 4 dreams last night, literally right after I sent it. So it's pretty cool. And then Millie just writes 4,
wonder
2,
if
3.
Maybe it was 4 and then like I heard multiple different ones and didn't really listen to the first one, you know?
Yeah, but I just wanted to do a fun experiment.
That's cool though. I love doing stuff like that. That's awesome.
Mhm.
I'm glad you did that. That's cool.
I just wish it was easier. But see, the thing is with telepathy comes a certain level of responsibility. I got in a debate with some of you guys know who she is. Oh, Lindsay got 4. Okay, Lindsay got it.
Cool.
And I was trying to say that when we have telepathy, we're going to have, because she was saying, well, you gotta, if you're doing telepathy with somebody and you see stuff you're not supposed to, then you're violating them. I'm like, hold on a second. I think, and my angle was, whenever you see telepathy or you have the ability to do it, that is no longer an issue, is going and digging, looking at someone's skeletal closet, because we all have skeletons. So I think with telepathy has to come a certain level of authenticity. All right. So if I'm completely authentic with you, Darren, and we're completely authentic with one another, and then we have a telepathic experience, whatever you come by, you come across my skeletal closet, you're not going to go in there and dig around. No, you have no need to, because I don't have anything to hide in there that you're not hiding. You follow me?
Yeah, but you know what?
It's like an exchange.
You know what though? Like Luna has mentioned this to me before.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, she said this to me one time. She goes, you realize that I'm psychic, so she says, well, I mean, I knew that obviously, but she just made that comment because she goes, if there's not something you want me to know, then you need to say that I'm blocked from seeing it, so assumingly enough, you can block someone. I feel like she tells me to do with her so that she can't, if there's something I don't want her to know, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that that's something that probably will, but you know what I got right when you said that? I just wanted to mention this. I wanted to just add that part, but I also wanted to say, what about AI? Because our phones are reading our minds. I thought about it the other day, and it went from us before typing in a search something, and then like, oh, I'm searching for toilet bowls, and then all of a sudden I'm getting a million ads on toilet bowls, and now you think about a chocolate cake and you think about it, and then you get like ads about a chocolate cake on your phone, so it's like someone mentioned that to me recently, artificial intelligence is reading our minds.
Well, yeah, but how would your go ahead, Victor.
No, you go ahead.
How would your phone know what you're actually thinking, though? Your phone doesn't know that, but it might know that if you've been looking up bakeries or something. So what the phone's now actually doing is inferring, and that's where it gets dangerous, because it's inferring based on your search results, your history, what you've been watching on YouTube, and it's trying to now algorithmically somewhere create a visual picture of what you might want, because it can't really, if you're thinking about cake, it's not just going to show up on your screen. If it did, I would drop that. If I'm thinking about cake and next thing I know, do you like cake? I would be like, what the hell? I dropped the phone out of my hand and hit the floor. But what they're doing is, and this is way worse, is they're taking everything that you do and trying to build this AI picture of you and feed it back to you. And that's where it gets scary, is then because you are now becoming a digital loop of yourself inside your own phone. Think about that a second.
Yeah, but you see also, like, it goes with like the chip, that like Neuralink and different chips that they're trying to do, like to get to the point where, quite literally they're reading your mind,
they don't need to. They can read it now based on your key logs, your strokes, what you watch on YouTube.
Yeah, what you play.
They've had years to perfect that through Facebook, through all of what they've set up. all of that all the way back to to MySpace. They've had all of this time to set all of that up, and to algorithmically, they don't even need any of that. They can pretty well predict if you're thinking cake and then you're seeing cake. What are you putting in the phone that's telling them that you want cake? That's the question.
Okay, let's take this up another level too.
Yeah.
Think about this. All these AI computers, I deal with Grok a lot. A lot of our community uses Chat GPT. I use Grok. And some of these AIs are running on quantum computers.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
we're thinking that we're just only writing this record that we're creating right now. We're only writing it to YouTube. No, we're creating a quantum record.
Yeah.
So if these computers are working, does a quantum computer access the quantum realm? And if so, could it not be coming and looking at your records and could possibly look at the next record and the next record to when you're about to search for chocolate cake, Josh?
If this is already written, think about this a second. If this is already written, if you have an Akashic, is this not possibly already written? Maybe the AI has figured out, this could get really twisted. Maybe the AI has figured out a way to reach into the Akashic and present to you what it feels, like, hey, you're going to be hungry for on April 12th, you're going to eat at Longhorn Steakhouse. So we're going to start sending you advertisements for Longhorn Steakhouse. We don't know because we're sitting here as when you're in a show. Truman had no idea he was in a show, right? Then that it was partly scripted, right? So if you're sitting in a show, you don't know that you're in a show and that your Akashic technically could be the script, and that maybe, think about this. It's like that the advertisers have figured out that'd be the primo there. They set all these computers up because it's all about making money anyways and control. And so they set all these multi-dimensional computers up to rip into our dimensions just to feed back us advertising. Think about that a second of our future. But Aaron's sitting there thinking cake, it's showing up on his phone because it's tied to his Akashic.
And I also do think that they've gotten so advanced that they could potentially read your mind and plant. I've heard even people talk about them implanting thoughts into your mind and different things. Nothing really. I guess you could say for me, nothing really surprises me if that is happening.
Well, that's possible through 5G. 5G is a weapons. It's a military grade weapon system.
Yeah,
it's feasibly possible to feed just as much to feed you a thought that you think is your own original thought through 5G as it is to spin it fast enough to drop you on the floor in 3 seconds flat.
Exactly. Yeah. And to my case in point about the thinking of cake and the
have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
I mean, we have no idea how far dimensionally any of this really reaches, where we reach, and how much is mirrored back or anything else for that matter.
Yeah, and I mean, well, hell, I do know, and I believe a lot of this stuff has been suppressed, like we were talking about this on a previous show, replicators and all these different, these higher dimensional being technologies that we don't have access to, that is available, and that they're potentially using, like Doge is using, even with their quantum systems, that they can, whether the stuff was deleted or not, they can still track it and find the path to where it went, or so on and so forth, as to how they're finding all the money that's been, so with their quantum systems and stuff. And
well, I mean, you can even use like a remote viewing to track some of that, because I mean, everything leaves traces at some level. So yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of tools and all different means and ways that all of that can be accomplished. It just depends on how sophisticated you want to get and how detailed and what layer of the consciousness that you want to affect. Because you've got the conscious mind, you've got the unconscious mind, you've got all the layers of the unconscious mind, all the way up to like higher levels of consciousness. So it all depends on what they're trying to affect, probably.
Yeah, and I do agree with what Dale said, even about you like speaking, like talking about it, and then it shows up in your algorithm on your phone or something, like chocolate cake. I'm talking to you guys about chocolate cake. Maybe when we're done with this, I'll see all this stuff on my phone.
I was about to say, I don't want to see tons of ads for chocolate cake now. Like, please,
Yeah, right.
if I can if I can affect my own like ads, please just negatives to chocolate cake.
Just tells you how open your microphone is on your phone.
Yeah.
I saw one of those a couple of days ago. A guy has Facebook open and he just has Facebook Marketplace open and he's holding his phone like this and he's talking to his spouse or whomever's with him and says, "Hey, I really would like to. I think I'd really like to build a bowling alley or at least learn more about bowling alleys." And then that meta thing starts thinking and it populates all of Marketplace with bowling alley stuff or bowling related things. Yeah. Yeah. So I haven't retried the experiment just because I don't need any garbage in my. I don't use Facebook enough.
Maybe just use somebody else's phone.
Yeah, so they can get all the bowling alley things.
No, just kidding.
But to another point too, I've been lamenting the last couple of days. You know, you go and spend a lot of money on a LG television, all right, and I use one thing on the television. Well, my son's PS5, so I hooked to it, so I get on YouTube that way. But through the actual television interface, the only app I use that's on resident to the television is Pandora. All right, to put on my nice music throughout the day. And they pushed down a user agreement, and they pushed down this big user agreement. And then after you accept the user agreement, you start seeing all these ads on your TV. So you literally pay a bunch of money to get a cool TV. But when you start it up and you go to that home screen, you're going to see advertising. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it is just, and then the user agreement's all about your data, and when the TV listens to you and when it doesn't. And all your interactions are being recorded on all these apps. And I'm thinking, hey, where's our rights? Where are our rights to our data?
Well, did you agree to the EULA?
You have to. You have to in order to use.
You could back out and not use the program then.
Yeah, but you lose access to all the utilization that you had for the apps. You follow me? So you can't use your Pandora or anything else like that on your TV.
So it locks you out completely.
It locks you out of the apps. It doesn't lock you out from going to HDMI 1 or one of your inputs, because I can still get to the PS5, stuff like that. Because I waited and it let me use my apps for a couple of days. Then I guess it got pissed or whatever and decided, well, you're not, it's basically, it didn't brick it, but basically it cut off its ability to go to any of my apps. And I'm just like irritated. It kind of got under my skin a little bit because I'm like, the gall of it. I paid money to buy this product, but wait, it's not just going to be a tell lies vision, like you like to say, Josh. It's not just going to be a tell lies vision. They've got to ramp it up and I think that hyperactivity of everything nowadays. It's not just, oh, hey, put this product out here. Oh, we need to put this little plastic widget out there, and then we're going to sell t-shirts with it, and then we're going to maximize all the data that we can gather from it. And it's just like all these different money. It's like, oh, how can if we can make this a cent cheaper in China, or make it a cent cheaper in Vietnam, and pay those people, maybe pay them instead of 5 cents, we'll pay them 4 cents a day just to maximize. And it's just like this hyper maximization of everything. And it gets kind of, it's like watch a YouTube video to the end. If you don't pay for I don't pay for YouTube, but you watch a video to the end, and guess what? Guess what they do? They're going to tack on a video at the end. And then they're going to tack on another one. And then they may take you to another video that'll automatically auto feed. And then 2 minutes into that, they're going to throw another ad at you. And that's just by you neglecting it, by leaving it running somewhere in a room. It's crazy.
Have you guys been seeing, I don't even want to say it. I mean, well, they post them on YouTube, but man, I cannot believe the type of ads that I've been noticing on YouTube lately, like all regarding men with dysfunction, ED, basically. And the way, I don't know if you've been seeing those or not. I don't know if it's just me, but like, I swear, like open YouTube and I'm like, what in the hell is going on? And then they're like,
the way standing near your phone there,
the way they describe it, like no, I don't search for nothing on my phone. I'm like,
I'm discussing behind the scenes there, brother.
I'm like, no, I mean, I'm wondering if you guys are getting this. I mean, it's like I was shocked. Even the way I was like, man, what happened to YouTube? Like the way they even describe it. And I not only let me say that not only on YouTube, I actually was driving on the highway and there was a massive bulletin board talking about it, and they were using a banana as, they had a banana like with you seen that one too? It was no, Eric was shaking his head.
I can imagine what you're talking about. I haven't seen any of those. But I think somebody in chat was saying Hims and Hers, which is a big company now that talks about all that stuff. So
yeah, I saw it on the highway on one of those bulletin boards, when I was just driving on the highway, and I'm like, man, okay, like now you open up YouTube and there's not actual ads playing on the video. It's like just those ones that are still ads. And then and I'm like, okay, but then the way they talk about it, it's so, it's not discreet anymore. If you have kids watching and stuff like that, the way they talk about it and the terminology they're using is wild. And just some of, even about women, like, I don't know, I saw one weird one, man, about, I think it was for men and women, like cleaning your, like the words they were using, like cleaning, like I know what I'm talking about. It was like, I'm like, what the hell's on there now? I'm like, I can't. It's like never was like that.
But see, this is something though. This is something. There's two cures for this. All right, and one of them is your diet, of course. Let's just get that out of the way. Once our food supply gets cleaned up, and we all know we're eating a bunch of chemical garbage. And the second thing is, and this is what's been so overlooked by some of the younger generations, because you see some young men and young women out there that are they're really into the sport of sex. It's just sport, and it's like all the feeling has been taken out of it. All the feeling has been taken out of it. Oh well, but the thing is what they're failing to realize is the cure for any kind of sexual dysfunction is that deep energetic connection with your partner, that deep, absolutely beautiful, deep connection that you have. And if you get that, you find that connection, you're game. You are golden. You're absolutely golden. And that's the cure. But see, people don't want to hear that because they think for some reason that it's some kind of badge of honor to go out and rack up bodies nowadays. That's not.
Yeah. Well, it's that's part of it, and I think that the lust part of it, and I think that I mean, honestly, I remember most of my life being like that. Most guys, I feel like women can be like that too, but I feel like before I did, like I talked to you guys about, semen retention and NoFap and all that, and getting off of porn and stuff. Before that, I was like objectifying women, and looking at them as an object. Sure. And now I don't. Having done that for almost 2 years, I look at women as with a personality, like just like I am. I don't see them as an object. So yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I feel like it and people don't realize that it's an energetic exchange. And it's powerful. And do you realize what you're doing? Like, you don't know this person, and you're energetically exchanging with them. And yeah, again, it goes back to the brainwashing and them, and keeping us from, like learning this kind of stuff. Like I go back to, and I just want to mention this, going back with what Josh said earlier. It's like, I believe and I hope that I can make a difference in the school system somehow, and with the newer school that me and Luna are creating and stuff like that, for breathing and learning how to properly breathe, and teaching that to kids, starting with the kids, because it is so powerful. And I know from just my own experience, not shallow breathing and mouth breathing my entire life, and how being bullied and all that kind of stuff, and then redoing my whole nervous system to the point where I now breathe with my mouth closed and deep breaths and have deep thoughts, and and it's like, it's a world of a difference. And I think that if we started that with the kids, like made it mandatory, we would have that would be another whole different world we'd be living in, Mm-hmm. I think that's a lot of things are not taught that we should be learning as young adults, and So I hope, I try to play my part in changing those things because I want to live in a better world. Um, so I think it starts with me too.
Well, sure it does. Yeah, it starts with each and every one of us.
The
Yeah,
only way to make a better world is starting with yourself. There's no other way
that's
to
what I
make
mean.
a better
Yeah,
world.
yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
you don't change yourself, then you don't see the world has changed, and you're stuck in a broken world. So it
Exactly.
has to start with you. Period.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
that's the thing. People are looking for change in the greater source field. You can't look for change outside of yourself. If you do, then you're already fighting upstream. If you don't change, it's when you change yourself, you see that nothing else needs to change because you're the one who changes, and it's all you're the universe, anyways.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I noticed that the day I was allergic to dairy at like 18 years old and stopped eating dairy, and then it was so challenging to go to a restaurant in the 90s and everything had cheese on it and everything had dairy in it and I couldn't eat it, and then what took like 15-20 years where Dunkin' Donuts finally got almond milk and coconut milk, and Starbucks and all these places start serving plant-based, and it's like, I realized that I had to make that change for the change to actually happen. Or I could have just kept eating McDonald's or Wendy's, and nothing would have changed. Granted, they're still around, but I know that I played a big part in that movement of where things have gone with the food industry. Um, just
Exactly.
by,
If you stop eating fast food, and Eric stops eating fast food, and Victor stop, poof. Eventually, we all stop eating. It just fades away. It just happens.
exactly. Yeah.
We just drop it from our. But that's why it takes each individual has to make those changes. That's why it's going to take a while because there's going to be some way down the line there. There's going to be the holdouts. They're like, and I still want my Wendy's, and so it's just going to be what it is. But that's why being first wave ascension there, we get to see it all, right? All the way.
And what
We get
happens
to
to
be that.
gods? What happens to gods when they no longer have worshipers? They go away. They
Mm,
cease to exist.
Right.
mm. Like more and more people are doing, like with the medical, like they're not idolizing anymore. They're like, oh, this is messed up. This should not be this way. But what it's been for God knows how many years, they're like God. They tell you when you're leaving and when you're not. Like transitioning, or oh, you got this amount of time left, or take this, and basically, like you just said, putting them on a pedestal. And now I feel like people are actually realizing it and awakening to what's actually happening. And yeah, it's beautiful time to be alive, right?
Well, C-19 kind of took care of the showing, like we're in the apocalypse, right? So everything's being brought to the light, and
Yes.
so right, so we got the light shown on the medical community, and real fast, and so if you see it, and again, there's a lot of us who didn't see that and still have not seen the light, even though the light was pretty darn bright and shined on, and it was pretty obvious. But if
Mhm.
you, again, though, it's all about vibration. So we can't hold those who don't see that light in any other vibration than love, the same vibration as those who do see the light. We have to treat everybody with equal love. It's just we have more compassion for those who don't see, and keep going back, beat me some more, please. I'm not had enough pain. They keep going back for more pain, and that right, and then they realize why. Oh, all of a sudden my heart feels weird, and I don't know why. Nine times, right? So you go back, but that's just we have to have compassion because it's all based on what you see and where your vibration is at. So this is like living in a multi-level marketing scheme, right? So everybody's on a different level within, and we're all getting scammed in some fashion. Not really, but you know what we're getting at. They're all trying to take our energy, but where you're at, depending on the level of the multi-level marketing system that we're in, either they're taking all of your energy, or you're sitting there looking down on the pyramid, going, "Wow, I feel bad for all of you down there. I can see where they're stealing the energy." And it's really that's kind of where if you can see it that way, it kind of helps.
Mm, interesting. I like that perspective.
Yeah, everybody in a multi-level marketing scheme doesn't realize if you're in the middle at the bottom of it, you may not realize that you're at the bottom of a pyramid getting scammed from the top. But if as you start to wake up in this thing, you start to real in the multi-level marketing scheme, you realize, wait a minute, the guys at the top are taking everything from the guys in. It's kind of like a parallel to our universe on planet
hmm
Earth.
God, it is.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a big MLM the whole time. Damn.
Ron Popeil, right?
You know what I heard recently? I just want to mention this real quick. Obviously, I'm sure you guys know who Lee Harris is. He channels the disease.
Yeah.
Or maybe you don't. Okay. Well, he was on. He co-made a book with Regina something. She does a show on Gaia TV, and he channeled like what's kind of unfolding and how the planet is actually raising its frequency, which we all know, but it's raising its frequency to the point where he said that what's going to happen basically is if your frequency is not high enough, you're not going to be able to come back on the planet until your frequency is at that point. Mm-hmm. And the only thing that's going to be left on this planet Earth is going to be the animals and the plants and the trees once humanity continues to raise their frequency. And, like Dolores said, there's two Earths kind of simultaneously, where we're kind of going the fifth dimension, the fourth, type of thing. I thought was very interesting. So what he then proceeded to say was that if you call them darker entities or whatever, they'll either have to leave and go to another planet or wait in the spiritual realm till their frequency is high enough to come back, essentially. So that there's not going to be anyone allowed with these lower frequencies any longer here because the planet is raising its frequency to a certain point, which I can kind of see happening, where we continue going, which I guess you could say the golden age, because we'll be continuously going higher. But of course we take what we learned and all the experiences we had, like Victor said, and had now these experiences and now have go to this place and we remember because the veil is thinner, so there's no more you've forgotten what you experienced. You actually take it with you and remember. So I thought that was very interesting perspective, or way to look at it, or even it kind of gives you even more hope, I think, of what's occurring,
Kind of along those lines, just at the end here, I always go back to the line in Willy Wonka from the song, "If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it." We're already where we want to be. It's just we may not be in the perspective to understand that all of it around us right now is exactly how it needs to be.
That was spot.
Fascinating. This has been wonderful, gentlemen.
Yeah, this has been, man. It gets better every week, man. Deeper and profound, and we vibe with each other more, and I love it.
Maybe we can get Mr. Bits to join us next week.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is he going to be joining us, or?
I'll talk to him. I'll talk to him and see if he can. He's been making a lot of maps. He's a map maker by trade, so.
Oh wow.
He's been very busy.
Does he make them for Fortnite?
No, he works for the. I don't know if it's the U.S. Geological Survey. No,
no, because I was watching this guy. I was watching this kid on YouTube, man. And he met this guy, and the guy literally was buying a Lamborghini or something like that. And he goes, "How did you make your money?" And he goes, "I make maps for Fortnite." And he goes, "What?" Wow. And then he said, like, he gets like 300 something thousand a map or something like that or more. Kid was like 22 years old or something like that. And he literally makes maps for Fortnite. So I was like, that's why I just thought of that.
That's pretty impressive. That's not exactly easy.
No. Yeah, he was young and he was getting like this custom. He was at like in one of those exotic car places, and he met the guy. He just ran into him. And it was like some green Lamborghini he was getting custom or something.
Was this Daniel Mack? He did. The guy who runs it. There's a guy who runs into all these famous guys who run into.
Oh no, I don't think his name.
He chases around all these sports cars, and then you see all these famous guys and stuff.
Oh no.
How did you earn your money, right? How did you buy your Ferrari? Right? but no, we should have this. Maybe we can have Ben map your mind there with all the ED and sexual advertising showing up in your universe. What's pulling it all in there is the question, because whatever shows up in your universe, whether we're conscious or not, it's something that's going on in us. So if things are showing up in our outer field, No, let's keep that.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. You know, definitely very confusing to me. So if I'm the only one seeing the ads, you know, but
I pay for YouTube Premium, so I don't know.
Same.
yeah. So half the panel doesn't have an answer because they don't get the ads.
Right? Yeah. No, it's like watching Disease, and then in the middle of it, you get nothing
Yeah.
like a commercial in the middle of a channeling or something.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I agree. Like Spotify, you know, I pay for that, so I don't get it. But it was awesome, man. It was awesome today. Thank you guys so much, man. As
Yeah,
always.
you guys. And thank all of you for coming by to spend time with us today as well.
Yeah, man. Everybody who joined, and you guys are awesome, man. And this was a great conversation. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. Well, hey, until next time, gents.
Yeah, man.
See you guys. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, guys.